It is a game day edition of Nighttime at Noon here from our studios in downtown Summerlin. Golden Knights getting ready to continue their homestand tonight. They take on the Buffalo Sabres. 7 o'clock puck drop of the Fortress, 6:30 pregame on TV and also on the radios as well.
Like he forgot where it's going to be radios, there for a second.
And right here, you can hear Dan and Gary, and they'll be talking about the game on the radio, and Shane and I, Ashley Weiss, Darren Millard, cast of thousands on the TV side. Dave Goucher, Shane Hnidy with you today on this game day Monday, the 19th of December. Hard to believe the Golden Knights have tonight, and then 2 more games here at home before the Christmas break is upon us. All right, Shane, before we get to hockey, there was a football game at Allegiant Stadium yesterday. Do you like stories?
I love story. I know you're a huge Patriots fan, but even though we live in the city of Las Vegas, you'd think, I cheer for the Raiders.
I do, except for yesterday. So I have a story for you. So I'm fortunate enough to go to the game. One of our colleague, Gary Lawless, his wife, me and mine, Nate Ewell and his, right? Yes. The 6 of us there. The Lawlesses head out a little bit.
What an ending, historic
They
ending.
head out. Yeah, so now there's 4 of us left by late in the fourth quarter. So the wives decide to go get a beverage getting ready for overtime. And I say, well, my little 12-year-old bladder, I'm going to go to the restroom before overtime.
Not surprised.
Get myself ready. And believe me, I'm not the only one in the men's room. It's packed because everyone's thinking, all right, the Patriots have 1 play left. They're not going to do anything here. So I'm in the men's room and whatever, doing my thing. And I hear everyone yelling and screaming. And I'm like, what in the world is possibly going on here? Right?
1 play left.
1 play left, take a knee, whatever. Nothing's going to happen. I actually looked as a huge screen where I was about to go in the men's room. And I said, well, I got 1 play left. Nothing's going to happen. I want to do my stuff, get back up to the seats. I walk out of the men's room, and I see the Raiders on the screen jumping on top of each other in the end zone. And it's flashing, Raiders win. So what the hell is possibly going on? So it took a while for them to kind of re-rack the replay. And I thought, I've never seen it.
Did that make it better?
No. Well, I've never seen anything like that in my lifetime.
I don't think you will.
It was the most idiotic thing I've seen.
It was 1 bad play. It starts with the first play, just a lateral, just go down, and then lateral back. That's a bad play. And then the third one is let's just throw it back
20 yards backwards. Where Chandler Jones, former Patriot by the way, just catches it and gives a little face
ran right over Jones.
Ran right over Mac Jones with a little straight arm. So that's how. So here's the funny part. There's 4 of us left. There's me and my wife. Our boss, Nate Ewell, and his wife. Nate's the only guy actually sitting in the seats when this hideous sequence of events occurs yesterday.
It depends how you look at it. I thought it was a fantastic sequence. And you know what? Now we can build off the home team here, some success at home. Maybe it can carry into tonight.
Hopefully. I've shared this with you before. This is what happens to me sometimes at sporting events. I was at the Waste Management last year, hole 16. Where they
this is becoming a theme.
This is becoming a theme where they have it's like a frat house there at the 16th at TPC Scottsdale. My cousin and I are at 16. We had left our wives at 17. We were there for an hour sitting in the sun. As a group coming through, next group, we don't know any of these guys. We leave the 16th tee to walk to 17. Crowd goes nuts. The next group through, hole in one.
Who's the hole in one?
I want to say it was Sam Burns. I could be wrong on that. I think there were 2 that weekend.
Yeah, there was.
But anyway. That's what happens. That's what happens to me. I go to the restroom. I missed that play yesterday. It might not have been the worst thing because I would have been so appalled seeing it with my own eyes, actually looking out of the field. But then I missed a hole-in-one at TPC last year, so that was a good time too.
Sam Ryder,
not Sam Burns. So, yeah, it was good times. Great times yesterday. Yeah. Just a dandy ending. Hopefully the Golden Knights, and to your point, the Raiders, a great win for them at home, obviously. The Golden Knights can take a little bit of that home magic away from the Raiders. They are still it's funny, Shane. I always try to think of the bigger picture. They're number 2 in the league. They're number 1 in the West. But at home, they just haven't – they started well enough here, right? They were 5-1. Since then, it's been a problem. And, Bruce Cassidy, you've used this word a lot on TV, off TV. Simplify their game at home. Bruce Cassidy said after the game the other night, there's times we're too stubborn as a team, and we don't take that formula from the road and apply the same formula to games at home.
Yeah, it's odd that sometimes the coach agrees with me, but I've been saying that for a while. When you watch them, they're looking for the perfect play, and I shouldn't say it's not the whole game. And I think Bruce probably said it a lot better than I have. He just said stubborn early in games. Their inability to get to their kind of game plan because they are trying to do a little too much, trying to, and sometimes that's human nature. It forces you at home on a home ice But yeah, and because of that, they haven't gotten the starts. Imagine if they've gotten the starts they have on the road, especially in that building, because that's what creates energy. That's what, gets the momentum rolling a little bit more, is when you can get your crowd behind you. They've done it on the road. What teams have done here is they take it away because they haven't been able to come out of the gate really well. And, it's on the players. I think, it's not an excuse. And yes, they can be better at home. No question about it. But this last 6-week stretch, their home after the road trips is not easy. It's been one of the toughest grinds I've seen and been around this league a long time for that long of a stretch of, they've done 2 East Coast trips. They've done a bunch of others. They come back, and there really hasn't been a bunch of time. They've jumped right back into a heavy home schedule with not much practice time or recovery. We've seen, and I think a product of that is some of the injuries, and I think the product of that is not maybe being as sharp as they can early. It takes a little longer to get into games. But that being said, you're a professional athlete. You play in the NHL. This is where the mental, we talk about physically and mentally, it's a grind throughout an NHL season. This is where the mental part really needs to kick in.
To your point, Shane, they come back from that first trip out east where they swept all 5 games. Come back, first game back, they lose to St. Louis.
Yeah.
Second trip out east, they win
Lost.
3 out of 4, come back and lose to the Rangers. This most recent trip was only a little 2-game swing.
It's quicker, but still a time change.
We got, 3 in the morning?
Yeah.
2:33 in the morning?
I'm tired.
Yeah, and we don't do much during the games. That next day is shot, right? And then they're right back at it. So they've got to try to find a way to kind of push through it here. Another opportunity tonight against the Buffalo Sabres. For the Golden Knights, they did have a skate here this morning, it looked like, for the VGK. Same lineup as they had the other night, the only change being in net with Aiden Hill getting the start here tonight. But so still no Jack Eichel, no Shea Theodore, Zach Whitecloud out long-term, Paul Cotter out. I always forget because of my small brain. Brett Howden's been on a long time. He remains
So that's
out.
three of the top 9. Well, Eichel's higher than top 9, but 3 of your top 9 forwards out, and two of your right side on your defensive core. So, and then avoid a huge scare last game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
How quiet, the building when Mark Stone went down, and good thing is he kind of returned, took a shift, but didn't play much after that, but on the ice today, so a good sign.
We just spent a couple of minutes with him down in the locker room before we came up to do the show.
Yes.
And he said that he thought he was done. He thought he was done. And he was saying that it hit the same nerve, that sciatica nerve, that he had pain going down his leg all last year with his back problem. Same thing the other night when he got hit kind of just above the top of the skate.
Like sciatic or whatever.
Yeah, sciatica. So, but he did say, and we talked about it on TV, it was a delayed reaction, right? He got hit by a Kessel shot. Puck kind of stays alive. He gets a backhander away, and then when he tried to kind of plant that foot, it went dead. And he was just telling us, he goes to the locker room. He's convinced he's bleeding.
Yeah.
He thinks it's his Achilles.
Yeah.
He's convinced he's bleeding. He's telling the doctor to cut his skate off. And the doctor's trying to get him to calm down, which eventually he did. And obviously came back and played. Yeah. He wasn't bleeding. It was just more of a stinger than anything.
No, just a stinger. Said kind of get up, try and walk. He's like, oh, okay, yeah. And a good thing. Good sign for the Golden Knights that the captain's ready to go and feeling good. And it was just, something that initially, that's the best case scenario. Just the way things have gone, you already go to that bad. Okay, now the captain, but back in the lineup, and they need all hands on deck. This is a team that's trying to find their mojo, if you want to call it that, here on home ice, because it's one of the best buildings, one of the most electric when you can get it behind you. That's the big thing, is when you get it behind you. That's what they need to do. I think the start's going to be very important tonight.
Bruce Cassidy met with the media a little while ago here at City National Arena. We will bring you that press conference as the show goes on here this afternoon. The Golden Knights and the Buffalo Sabres, and then 2 more to go. Arizona here on Wednesday, St. Louis Blues on Friday, and then finally the Christmas break will force the Golden Knights and the rest of the league to get a little bit of a breather in their schedule. 8-8 at home compared to 14-2-1 here on home ice. Bruce Cassidy talked a lot, Shane, about, and you mentioned like tic-tac-toe and trying to force plays a bit that aren't there at home. Something they don't seem to do, and the numbers would bear it out. I mean, they don't seem to do that nearly as much when they're away from home.
And you can take it back. It starts defensively. Just, they got to be quicker, clean on breakouts. Look for that simple play with support underneath. And then you go to the next zone. You're trying to exit the game as you're trying to go north. And offense starts in your own end. You got to get the puck back, break out, and then in the neutral zone, I think, is an area where they need to be better. We hear Bruce Cassidy talk pucks behind. And it's going to be a key tonight when you look at the defensive group of the Buffalo Sabres. They got some offense there. Dahlin obviously having a tremendous season, but they're missing some guys, we think. So young core, you've got to put pucks behind, put pressure on them. So, Golden Knights are a good rush team. They like to come through. If you've got, and this is where you've got to make those quick decisions. Do you have room to make a play in the neutral zone, or is that play cut off? A lot of teams are trying to jam you up. That's where turnovers, transition lead to chances. That's what you're trying to do defensively. So offensively, you've got to read that play. If you don't have an ability to carry the puck in with rush, they've got to chip with support, get the pucks behind the D, and get in on the forecheck, try and create that way. And I think early on, you can create momentum off that. So that's the area I think when you talk about trying to look for too much, I think sometimes that's where they can simplify. Instead of looking for that cross-ice pass or trying to attack with speed where you might turn it over between the blue lines, just a little chip and chase. Put it in an area where you can get puck recovery.
Golden Knights are the lowest scoring team on home ice in the league. They are number 1 in the league in scoring on the road. So hopefully they can bring some of that over tonight. You mentioned, Shane, a couple of people missing, most notably for Buffalo. Owen Power will not play tonight. This will be the 3rd game in a row. He's going to miss for the Sabres, the number 1 pick in the draft back in 2021. So, and we'll get into Buffalo a little bit more as we move on, as the Sabres team has kind of had streaks of both ways, but they're on a good run as of late. Golden Knights power play. We've talked a lot over 5.5 years about the power play. We've talked a lot about it this year.
Yeah. This
year, more specifically this month, they're on the best run they've had in any month in their history, including both of their goals from Riley Smith in the loss the other night. What have you seen there that's allowed them? You think now Eichel's missed a bunch. Pietrangelo obviously was out for a long time. They've been out without some key people, but still able to get results on it.
Well, like execution. I think, a little more familiar with how they want to execute on the power play. So now you kind of know, you go through it, and now it's gone from where you're thinking about it to where you're reacting. And I think their puck recovery, more of a shot mentality. And then the big one is confidence. All of a sudden, the pucks start finding that. It starts with a stretch where you create chances, but you're not finding the back of the net. Okay, that's fine. You can start to build off that. Then the puck starts going in the net. Now that confidence kicks in. And every time you hop over the boards now, it's not like, okay, I hope we can get one. It's like you feel like you can score every time you go out. So it just creates momentum. Riley Smith's been really hot. Jonathan Marchessault had some big ones. Stone. So, when you look around, it's not one guy. They're still spreading it around. So everybody's getting a piece of that. And now every time as I mentioned, that's a huge factor. And it's something that we're not going to read in the paper or whatever. It's just a feeling you have on that bench, in the room as a player and as a unit, a power play unit, that, hey, okay, I'm going to step over this boards and you feel like you're going to score a goal.
Yeah, we've seen it run both ways, right?
Oh,
when
yeah.
the power
It doesn't last forever.
Way,
that's the thing.
It just drains energy from your team. But lately, they've been able to derive a lot of energy from their power play. Nighttime at noon, Dave and Shane with you on a game day Monday. The Golden Knights and the Buffalo Sabres at the Fortress tonight. Before we step aside, a reminder for you that the home of the Henderson Silver Knights, the Vegas Nighthawks, and the NBA's G League Ignite is a $1 loan center in Henderson, and it is the place to be. Don't miss any of the action. Grab your tickets right now. To get more information on upcoming events, seating charts, arena policies, and lots more, check out their website, thedollarloancenter.com. Dave and Shane with you, nighttime at noon. Said we will hear Bruce Cassidy's pregame availability before the show is over today and take a little closer look at a lot going on around this team. Mark Stone, big scare the other night. They got Alex Pietrangelo back in their lineup, and lots more to come after this on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Yeah, great to have you with us here as the Golden Knights get ready to resume their homestand at T-Mobile Arena later tonight. They'll take on Buffalo Sabres. Golden Knights had a big win in Buffalo last month. Of course, probably most notably the hat trick in the third period for Jack Eichel in that game. On his way to a 4-point game, Golden Knights scored a season-high 7 in the 7-4 win. That was the 5th of the 5 straight victories on the road to sweep the road trip. Dave Goucher, Hnidy with you. And as we mentioned, Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy addressed the media before the game here today. Bruce had a lot of, as you'd imagine, a lot of people with Boston ties, New England ties that were at that Patriots-Raiders game yesterday. Bruce Cassidy was one of them, and I think you're going to hear a question about how that game ended in this press conference. We're going to let you hear the avail with the Golden Knights head coach just earlier this morning at City National Arena.
Well, they got their top line, Thompson, Skinner, and Tuck. And Skinner, we've seen over the years, has a tendency to hide a little bit out there, and then we'll finish in tight. And Thompson and Tuck are just big men that have found space in the ice, playing with a lot of confidence. So we have some big D back there, and that'll be the challenge for them tonight, getting their way. You're going to have to be a certain level of physicality, certain level of hockey IQ to make sure you're stick to puck at the right time. And then checking as a group of 5, so they can't get through the neutral zone with a lot of zip, because once they do, we saw it in Buffalo, right, with Thompson, he can really go. So it's a little bit of a layered defense at times as well. Power play, obviously, we got some ideas how we can sort of force pucks out of certain guys' hands. Hopefully we can execute that, not be in the box. Typically we've been a good disciplined team, so that will help us. On the flip side, defensively they haven't been as strong, so we have to make sure if we check well, get pucks back, like we did in Buffalo, we can tilt the ice our way.
What did you feel like went so well in Buffalo?
Jack Eichel went very well in Buffalo, so he won't be here tonight, so someone will have to pick up the slack. I think our ability to transition went well there. Through the neutral zone, we made a lot of plays. I think Jack had 2 breakaways alone, Cotter had 1, so we were playing well between the blue lines. I think our power play got us an early goal, if I remember, up there, so that always helps. O-zone, we held on to pucks, so we exposed their weaknesses more than allowed their strengths to take over the game, I guess is what happened up there.
You talked about in the past, like holding on to pucks is kind of key to generating offense. Do you feel like you've done enough of that, especially in the home games?
Well, we haven't done enough to score in home games, so that can go into a lot of different buckets, right? And some of it's just shooting percentages aren't very good, and you hope over time, over the course of a season, that they'll balance out, just like they will on the road. They're pretty high on the road, so I'm going to guess at some point they'll soften up on the road where we won't score as much, and they'll, we'll see a rise at home. That just seems to be the law of averages. So there's a little bit of that. And some of it is, we're not generating enough because we're turning it over too much. So maybe we're not allowing ourselves to get forecheck turnovers like the Islander game. We eventually got to our game, and we had a lot of O-zone time, much more than they did. We just didn't finish. So that's what we want to do from the start of the game would be preferable than waiting for a period to go by or half a game or whatever it is. So we're going to keep hammering away on that.
Power play's been very good for you guys lately. What have you seen in your lineups?
Execution, pace, especially our low plays. A lot of it's gone through Mark Stone. He's made some real good decisions. Saw against Boston, the play was to take it to the net, so he kind of froze all Mark's scores. In Chicago the other night, he's got the back door to Stevie open. He's got the bumper against the Islanders. He hits Stevie. We're off net. We recover a puck. Smitty scores because Mark Stone's screening the goaltender. So he's been a big part of the focus of running through him. In Winnipeg, it was less about they were more compact, so it becomes a shooting power play, and Marshy does a good job. So I think our recognition of what is available to us has gotten a lot better from the start of the year, as opposed to just rolling through your plays. It's okay, what's available, let's get it there, let's do it in a hurry. Entries have been better when you're in the zone clean. You tend to have more O-zone time, which will allow you more zone, probably make more plays. Face-offs, I think, have been fairly consistent for the most part, so that hasn't changed a lot, but to sum it up, to me, it's pace and the right reads and then executing the read.
What do you think Daniil Miranov's potential is now you've seen him for about a month?
Well, he's certainly a guy that can add offense to your game. So you got a power play guy that, certainly he's been on both of our units since he's been up here. he's done a good job with it. He shoots the puck well. We've seen that. So you got the offensive side of it that I think he's shown quickly, and that's why he's still in the lineup ahead of maybe some other guys down there. So he's playing to his strength. He's a big man, so the defensive side of it, using his body to his advantage, I think he's working on that every day. So upside, I don't ever like to say he could be because you just don't know in this league. But he's certainly a guy that I think gets complemented well with a kind of a stout defensive partner that can take care of some of the difficult one-on-one stuff, the net front stuff, and then until he gets more comfortable with that. So wherever that slots him in. But he's certainly a guy that could be an everydayer. Let's start with that. If he keeps playing like he has.
It's a different sport, but the play at the end of the football game yesterday, Raiders, Patriots, did it underline to you kind of sort of how hopeless a coach could feel at times was you turn the game over to the players?
Well, I've said it lots. Like once the players go over the boards, all our preparation, all whatever, we've tried the habits to build into them, the information maybe on what the other team's doing. It's sort of like you're at the mercy of their decision making, and that's what a coach feels like. I think in football, at least, there can always be a huddle. So every whistle, you can regroup at least. And in hockey, once they go over, sometimes you need a lasso to get them back on the ice to get the message across, right? So that so at the end of the day, it's a hopeless fit. To me, it almost looked like if you pulled your goalie and you shot it back in your own net last night. It's one of those ones you go, oh my God, I feel bad for the player because he's trying to make something happen. Probably for some reason when those laterals happen, what's the situation usually, right? You're down, you're behind, you're trying to score, and I think that's what probably went through his head. Oh, we got to score, and unfortunately, it didn't work out for the Patriots that way. It worked out well for the Raiders fans. It was, a terrific ending for them. So, but yes, to get back to it, you hope you prepare them well enough to those situational plays, don't happen.
Hockey IQ is something that's hard to see from the fan perspective. How important is it?
Well, there's a lot of guys that play in the league because they have terrific hockey IQ and they're less athletic or skilled than others. There's less guys playing in the league that have no hockey IQ that are highly athletic and skilled. Let's put it that way. There are the odd guys that will play in the league because they're such a dominant skater or powerful or strong, you know what I mean? Can defend because of their physical attributes. Yes, there's some of those guys, but there's a lot more guys that have tremendous hockey IQ that are average in other areas, but they get by in that because they're always a step ahead, right? So that's the way I look at it.
Your comment about after your game last night about taking the ice that's available to you, whether it's in front of the team or behind the team, do you think that's going to vary based on opponent and what?
Yeah. But so usually there's no ice in front of you early in the game because everyone's fresh. Everyone wants to have a good gap. Everyone's probably willing to check right away, right? That's just the way it is. You're feeling good about yourself. Then something happens through the game, whether it's early, midway through the first or second period, where the D now start losing their gap, because, I don't know, if you put it behind them and they go get it all night and they get run against the boards, they want to get a head start to get the puck. They're thinking, okay, they're going to dump it in, I'm going to start cheating back. Now the ice opens up in front of them. Or, I don't want to go back and get hit by a Colasar. I'm going to leave a little room in front of me and maybe they won't dump it in and I'll try to poke check. That's what ultimately happens through the course of a hockey game. And early on, like I said, I think everyone's fresh and has a good plan to do that. So that's why you see a lot of kind of not much going on in a lot of games. The first five, people are getting in, getting out, they're getting their legs under them, and then, the game starts to open up a little bit. So we don't want to feed into not having them have to go back and get it, and we want to wear them down so that as the game goes on, eventually, like I said, you can make some plays in front of them because we have good skill. Just like if another team tries to do that to us and we're defending well, all of a sudden all their forwards are going one way, they turn it over. Now there is ice because it's a 3 or 4 on 2. So that's what ends up happening, and how you get your offensive chances if you're good that way. It's like, I don't know, in football, like we're going down that road, right? I like to compare it. If you establish the run, it probably opens up the pass, right? So there's a little bit of that goes on as well.
Looks like Hayden is going today. I think that'd be three in the last 6. Are you looking to get back to more of an even split with the team?
There's a little bit of that going on. I just thought last week was, because of our schedule, we gave guys days off. We go into Winnipeg to Chicago, we get in really late. Chicago back home, it's really late. So the rest was probably more important than practicing. So the goalies are the ones that suffer a little bit of that because they're only on for the morning skate, and then they're a backup or they play. So really last week there was only 3 games. We barely practiced other than morning skate. So I think the goalies are the ones that suffer a little bit on that. The guys that are playing 20 minutes every night can sort of keep their rhythm. So I think, for LT, it's like, okay, let's get a few good practices on, get back to where we started the year. That's what we wanted. He's young. They're both young guys, so they can't just, it can't be a Carey Price situation where, play, rest. They're not at that stage of their career. I think they need their work to get their technical game in order. So that's kind of what we're thinking now that we're back home a little bit. And we should allow us some practice time so they can sort of keep their game sharp when they're not playing, or just stuff you need when you're that age. You just have to practice, I think.
Golden Knights head coach Bruce Cassidy, his media availability earlier today, Shane, there was some good hockey and football talk there.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. It's like pulling your goalie and then shooting the puck backwards into your own net.
No, I think it's like pulling your own goalie, passing it to your teammate, and then he shoots it in the net. That would be my comparison. But, yeah, he's so good, to listen to Bruce Cassidy talk the way he's so forthcoming with, such great stuff about the game.
Yeah, if you, I always think of it this way, and we're fortunate enough to sit in on all of his media availabilities. If you sit in on one and don't take something of note away, that's probably on you. He is among the best in the game in terms of explaining the hows and whys and just the general mindset of what they try to do here as a team. The Golden Knights and the Sabres tonight at the Fortress. A reminder for you that Golden Knights fans, of course, the holidays right around the corner. What are we? 6 days from Santa showing up. And if you're in need of some new gear for the next game or to show your Golden Knights spirit or a holiday gift, visit one of the Golden Knights official team stores, the Armory located at T-Mobile Arena or the Arsenal at City National Arena. You can also check out the livery at Lifeguard Arena and the saddlery at the Dollar Loan Center to get the most exclusive gear for the Golden Knights. Visit our website, vegasteamstore.com, or also check out our social media areas as well, at VGK Gear, to get the latest updates on all of your Golden Knights apparel. Lots more to come. We mentioned we're going to kind of get into the Golden Knights lineup a little bit. Some players returning, some players that are still out. We'll get to that and more after this on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Golden Knights continuing the homestand here at T-Mobile Arena tonight, trying to jump above the 500 mark at the Fortress as they take on the Buffalo Sabres. We'll have it for you on TV. Of course, Dan and Gary will have it for you right here on the radio side on Fox Sports Las Vegas. A reminder for you, if you get the chance, you want to get some fresh air and escape to the Rock Creek Cattle Company in Montana. It's located right in the heart of the state. This hidden gem's 28,000 acres of a cattle ranch that has all the amenities you could ever ask for the entire family, including world-class golf, fly fishing, horseback riding, and lots more. Exclusive memberships and real estate opportunities available right now. Visit rockcreekcattlecompany.com for more information. Might be a little chilly up there right now, but if you get,
I prefer the summer.
If you get
fall
there,
months.
if you get there in the spring and fall, so you know what I do, Shane. Because I'm a nerd. When I go places that I like, the little weather thingy, the weather app on your phone. I like to keep track of what's going on there. Right now, it's 22 up in at the Rock Creek area.
Fahrenheit.
But 22 Fahrenheit. Yeah, what's that? Minus 10 Celsius, something like that.
It's
Somebody
cold.
told me you double it and add 30. That was somebody told me. And for my whole life, I never could do that conversion, Celsius to Fahrenheit. And then somebody told me that a while ago. Just double it and add 30. So that's roughly what it is. But anyway, it's unbelievable. Go there if you can. Rock Creek Cattle Company. Golden Knights, Shane, they were remarkably healthy the first 5 weeks of the year. I think we had said it on one of the broadcasts. Will Carrier missed the opener. He was injured in the preseason. Nick Hague missed the opener, but that was because he signed late in camp. That had been it. They hadn't anyone miss due to injury, except for the opener with Carrier. Then Nick Waugh missed 3, and then they started to get hit with it. They dodged, it looks like, a major scare with Mark Stone the other night.
Could say that.
To say the least. But still, Jack Eichel out tonight. He remains out. This is going to be now 7 of the last 8 for Jack. Zach Whitecloud and Shea Theodore long-term. Paul Cotter got dinged up with that big hit by Jared Tenorti the other night in Chicago. And as I mentioned, this will be 13 in a row for Brett Howden. So we thought that we mentioned it the other night when we saw Stone go off. Like, you figured they got rid of all this out of their system last year.
It's like flashbacks.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get near the ridiculous amount of injuries they had last year, but they have started to get hit with it pretty regularly now over the last 3 weeks.
It's 3 important games here to finish up, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then they get some time. They come out, play back-to-back. But after that, they've got a very favorable schedule in terms of how taxing it is. And, hopefully can get some healthy bodies back. They can feel better, get some practice time. I really thought what Bruce Cassidy talked about with the goaltenders was interesting to me. Because we're talking, Logan Thompson, they've both been terrific this year, but this is kind of, for Logan especially, this type of schedule. He's never seen this before, an NHL schedule. We talked about the grind it's been. You got to go through that to learn, and they're using both guys. It is important. I see that how goaltenders for timing, for practice, to stay sharp, even more important, especially for young players, young goaltenders, to get that, which they haven't been able to do. So that's part of the learning curve, and hopefully health and the schedule as it lets up. But as I said, important for them to finish as strong as they can here, heading into that Christmas break.
You mentioned the schedule here coming up. 3 more to go at home tonight, then Wednesday, Friday. Christmas break, league shuts down 25th, 26th of December. Back-to-back in Southern California, 27th to 28th, the Kings and the Ducks. New Year's Eve afternoon here, noontime against Nashville. Then team goes to Denver, plays the Avalanche on the 2nd. But then you mentioned, Shane, then they're home for 2 weeks, 7 in a row. And it is games, it's in the middle of that, they've got a 4-day break with no games. So they play 7 games, but with a little mini break the way the schedule goes.
So 2 things. So this is their kind of, you think of these 3 games, important for them to establish home ice, how they want to play at home to, find that offense. Bruce Cassidy talking, he figures, eventually can turn if they still create. Obviously, there's a lot of areas they need to be better, their starts, their neutral zone, as he talked about. But they have to get their home ice, playing at the Fortress, at T-Mobile, being a tough place for opponents to come in. So that's on them, especially when you look at that 7-game stretch. It's going to be so important in January is, we talk about everything hitting another level. I always feel, after New Year's, those few games out of the break are, it's kind of like the start of the season. You're feeling out process, but you're going to hit another level. Then comes, the trade deadline or the All-Star break. After that, another one, the trade deadline. So you got to start to elevate your game at the time of the year, and no better to try and get, good habits happening here with these 3 games before the break.
You mentioned a lot of the players that have been out injured lately. One player that missed 9 games, not due to injury, but something far worse, was Alex Pietrangelo. His daughter, Evelyn, was very ill. Alex went through it. It's as emotional as I think you would see a player. Shane talked about it the other day, understandably so, and just kind of ran through this huge roller coaster that the family's gone through. That she had come down with the flu over Thanksgiving. They thought it was just the flu, then ended up being encephalitis. Had a lesion on her brain, lost all motor skills. The Pietrangelos have triplets, right? They had triplets. This is the girl of the triplets, Evelyn. Then they had another girl after that.
Another 2-year-old, yeah.
Yeah, so two boys, 2 girls.
Busy house.
It's a lot going on.
Just in general, there's a lot going on. But
fortunately, she's taken a dramatic turn for the better. And Alex Pietrangelo in a much better place, you would certainly imagine, mentally than where he was. He said the other day it would have been impossible for any parent to do their jobs, or especially what he does. But it was great to see him back the other day, quite obviously.
It is. And, he's talked about what they went through, the emotions, talking about praying, the prayers answered, that she's taken – rather than, they know there's a long road ahead. There's some rehab and all that, but with the vastly improved status of her as of late, which is great to take, leaps here forward, which kids are resilient, and you pray that still continues to go that way for Alex and his family. But on the hockey side of things, he was skating. He got out when he could, but, it's a long time. Not many guys could come back and get inserted in that first game and play again, lead the team in ice time. Certainly whether there some hiccups to his game, absolutely there's going to be some rust. You can't and for him, it happened. For anybody it's going to happen, but he's such an athlete. The one thing that doesn't affect him is ice time. If I played 10 minutes after missing that amount of time, I'd be sucking wind and barely able to breathe. He's so effortless, and he never seems to get tired. So the conditioning isn't a factor for him. For him, it's the touches, the timing, getting everything back up to speed. And I don't think it'll take long. I think, getting that one game, that first game, I think expect him to move forward here. But Alex Pietrangelo, whatever condition he's in the lineup, improves you yourself as a team. So I expect him to be really good here tonight for them against the Buffalo Sabres.
I remember asking Alex earlier this year, because I said what you said. I said, do you ever get tired? Because it doesn't look like it. And he said, well, I'll tell you what. He said, I know how to pick my spots during shifts. I try not to overextend my shifts. And then he said, there are nights where you could play 24 minutes and it feels like you played 17. There's nights where you could play 20 and it feels like 28. It depends on the type of minutes, the type of shifts. If you're stuck in your own end all night, if you're killing penalties a lot, that's a whole different feeling than if you're just kind of rolling 6 defensemen. You play more than anybody else back there, but it's a different feel, I guess, on your body as the game goes along and the season goes along.
Yeah, for him, that's right. Every minute felt tough for certain guys.
Every minute's a grind.
But he has that unique ability. It's one of his talents to log big minutes. He's been doing it his whole career, so he's adjusted, understands it, and gets it.
What about Riley Smith? Had a pretty good run. 16 goals all of last year.
56 games.
16 goals this year.
33 games.
33 games. So somebody that we try to kind of put last year in the rearview mirror, but when you think about when it went bad at the end, he missed the final 24 games. One of the most versatile forwards, wasn't around for the final 24 games of the year. Now this year, back healthy and producing at a clip that he produced all of last year.
Well, and in all ways, right? It's up to 6 power play goals now, 4 shorthanded, leading the league in that category, and then 6 regular strength or even strength goals. So you just used the word versatile. There's no better explanation than what he's been able to do. Shorthanded power play, even strength, plays in all situations, reliable, smart defensively. Great start to the season for Riley Smith. And I think, you see with a lot of players, you get hot, you get hot. He's been able to be a little more consistent here through the start of the season. And, if it dips off, you hope somebody else can pull up. But in the meantime, back-to-back 2-goal games. Why not? Why stop there? Let's go for 3 in a row.
Yeah, he had 2 in a row, back-to-back 2-goal games earlier this year when the team was in Canada against Montreal and Toronto, and now he's done it again here against the Hawks and the Islanders the last couple of games. Golden Knights approaching another big one tonight. They try to get things sorted a bit here on home ice. They'll take on the Buffalo Sabres. We're going to step aside, take a look at tonight's opponent when we come back. The Sabres coming to town on a good run. They've had a bit of a roller coaster to their season so far, but lately it's been a lot better. We'll talk about that and then some things coming up on the Golden Knights calendar, including FanFest coming up just after the new year. That's more. We have more. Lots more. Maybe, if we come back on Fox Sports Las Vegas. VGK and the Buffalo Sabres tonight at T-Mobile Arena. Golden Knights trying to sweep the season series with Buffalo. Had a big 7-4 win in Western New York back in November, and they're back at it tonight. Reminder for you, if you want to catch the next Golden Knights game, which will be tonight, and grab a bite at the same time, come stop by Mackenzie River Pizza Grill and Pub and eat like a Golden Knight. It opens every day at 11 and open from 11 to 9. Fans can dine in, catch their favorite games right here at the rink at City National Arena at Mackenzie River Pizza Grill and Pub. Call 702-916-2999 or visit MackenzieRiverPizza.com to learn more. Golden Knights and Sabres tonight. The Sabres, they're in the midst of this rebuild. Some people would call it the never-ending rebuild, but a rebuild nonetheless. 11 years in a row missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
Longest drought in the history of the league. They come into tonight just, 5 out, I believe? 5 out in the East. Still with a long way to go. But, we mentioned they started the year 7-3. Lost 8 in a row.
Yeah.
And since then, 8-3-2. So a lot of it, when I think of teams, is what have they done lately? Lately, they've been much better.
Yeah, won 3 straight coming in. You mentioned what happens when you miss that many years in a row? Well, you accumulate draft picks, right? Rasmus Dahlin, first overall pick, starting to come in his own. Middlestat, still third line. Owen Power. Dylan Cousins has really become a real good pick for them. And then, of course, Tage Thompson has just become the story this season in the National Hockey League, just coming out with 5 goals and an assist, 6-point game against Columbus not that long ago. As they put up 9. He put up over half of them. He's become an elite star. He really has. At 6'6", the hands he has, his shot, a dangerous offensive player and a unique one. I don't know, since Mario Lemieux, I can't think of a big man that, had that offensive skill. He put up career numbers last year, kind of a huge jump from his first season. It said, the St. Louis Blues, his draft pick by them, but Blues got a cup out of it because they got Ryan O'Reilly. But the Blues certainly got a good young player. And that line, Jeff Skinner, along with Alex Tuck, who we're familiar with, that'll be the line. Bruce Cassidy said they'll have to, be aware of them.
That line, Thompson, Tuck, Skinner, did most of the damage in their last game. They knocked off Arizona just a couple of nights ago, and they combined for 9 points as a line. Thompson had a 3-point game. So did Skinner. Tuck had 3 assists in that one as well. You mentioned the jump, Shane, that Tage Thompson took. So last year, 2 seasons ago, the 20 well, it's just the 21 season.
His first
the
one.
Shortened year.
Yeah, with Buffalo.
8 goals in 38 games. Last year, 38 to lead the team. This year, 25 goals, second in the league to Connor McDavid. You mentioned the 6-point game he had against Columbus. It was his second 6-point game of the season.
Yeah.
So he's really broke out last year, but he's just continued it for the Sabres this season. We will not see, it doesn't look like Owen Power tonight. We mentioned the first overall pick a couple of years ago. Missed their last now 3 in a row due to injury, but a real good, highly touted young defenseman.
Well, and a good one. I think, Rasmus Dahlin, their other first overall pick, kind of slowly coming along in the league, learning his way now in his 5th year, I believe, and just, among the leaders in defense, scoring 10 goals already this year. It takes a little longer for defensemen to develop in the National Hockey League. But on that side of it, Owen Power out, and Bruce Cassidy talked about it. They feel a weakness for the Sabres is, defensively, that defensive group. So they'll try to take advantage. You've got to try and expose that, and a lot of that is going to be being smart with the puck, puck placement, puck recovery, decision-making between the blue lines, all those areas.
The Sabres are the highest-scoring team in the league. They scored just shy of 4 goals a game. The other end's been an issue. They're 23rd in team defense. So we're going to see Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen in net tonight for the Sabres. I'm going to practice that.
Yeah, I was going to say
I'm going to need it.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yep, the rest of the day.
Yeah. I imagine Craig Anderson, the 41-year-old Craig Anderson, they've been alternating games. Probably tough to put him on a long stretch, but he's still playing well.
They've alternated here the last 7 now, and Aiden Hill will go for the Golden Knights, coming off allowed 5, but got the win in Winnipeg the other night. Late goal from Mark Scheifele, right, finished up his hat trick. But, you look at the numbers. Aiden Hill's 8-2-1 this year. He's won his last 3 coming off that victory against Winnipeg. So a chance for him to get back in there tonight after giving up a season-high 5, but he and the team finding a way to win anyways against the Jets.
Well, and he's probably had a little more work here, Logan Thompson, in the start. So he's had a little more work in practice, extra shots. So maybe he's the guy that and he is the guy to go in tonight. And, they look to both these guys to provide them with solid goaltending. They're looking to make the saves they need, come up with a couple of timely saves. Buffalo's, as mentioned, they're a highly offensive team. They're going to get chances as well as you play. They've got enough skill, particularly that top line, to create their own. So you need some saves here tonight from Aiden Hill. That'll be, the task put upon him to be good. Defensively, they're going to have to be good. And for the Golden Knights, I really think the start is so important tonight to try and build that energy in the arena, try and get the fans loud behind them, because that just, that fuels things for you.
When the Golden Knights score first, they are among the best teams in the league. 17 wins when they score first. We mentioned earlier this year, and it's still been the case largely on the road. They've been great front runners. Get the lead early, ride it. Not to say they haven't, there's been teams that have come back on them. Bruce Cassidy made the point the other day, Shane. They've lost 3 times on the road all year.
Yeah. Lead in Calgary, lead in Pittsburgh.
And lost in overtime
to
to
Edmonton.
Connor McDavid goal in Edmonton. So some things on the docket for the Golden Knights as an organization. Big day tomorrow, UMC Hospital. The players are going to visit. Some guys went out yesterday. I'm losing track of the days. Sunday or
what's today?
No, Friday.
Friday.
And had
there's the schedule. I don't know
well.
what it's. I don't know days of the week. It's either game day or non-game day.
And right now it's been more game days than not game days. But a lot of the players went out last week and did a visit, and now tomorrow another visit. Great time of year, of course, to do it. This one will be at UMC Hospital tomorrow. The Fan Fest coming up January 8th. I don't know for good or for real, but we'll be hosting it.
We'll be
I don't know if that's enticing to come or not, but that'll be coming up. In the not-too-distant future here, Fan Fest. Going to be back at the
3rd Street stage.
Yeah, Fremont Street, the D, where we had it in year one. And it was, I don't know what my guess is 5,000-6,000 people.
It looked like an endless amount of people.
All you can see were people.
On stage, yeah,
which was
great.
Fantastic. So we're going to go back there for Fan Fest coming up after the new year. And then the Golden Knights Gala back once again, February the 13th. That'll be at Resorts World. Tickets are on sale for that. As well on the 13th of February. So as we get in through the holidays and then into the new year, the Golden Knights have a lot of good things planned here on the docket.
Yeah, it's nice. This is the post-COVID. We're allowed to get back to some of these things. Very exciting to see the fans, to get the players out. Because we know the support, just unreal support here for the Vegas Golden Knights, the fans in this city, and it's a great way to bring everyone together again.
I remember thinking, Shane, that we have a banner in our office right near where we sit from the last Fan Fest, which I want to say was February 28th. I think it was a leap year that year of 2020. And you think about what happened in the world 2 weeks later. Everything stopped. But we had it. It was at the Downtown Event Center. Yeah, this year, back to that great spot where we had it in year one. I remember we had that big rally for the team after they went all the way to the final in year one, right on the stage there at Fremont Street. So that'll be a great time. So a lot of good things coming up here for the Golden Knights, and hopefully some better things for them.
Some wins
at home starting tonight. The road, they have been unbelievable. But home, a little bit of a different story. So we'll try to continue to work through that. So we said on the radio, Dan and Gary have you covered right here in Fox Sports Las Vegas. Shane and I, along with Ashley Weiss, on the TV side. Darren Millard joining us as well. He evidently hosts the games on television and does a decent job. That'll do it for us here at Fox Sports Las Vegas, nighttime at noon. Our thanks to Floyd, to Ryan, to Lindsay. Dave and Shane, wishing you a good afternoon. We'll talk to you on TV tonight as the Golden Knights take on the Buffalo Sabres. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you next time on Fox Sports Las Vegas.